and at least 7 Republican governors assumed this extended FMAP resource would be available to them when they put together their current budgets. So there are states in America that, if this does not happen, are going to be facing hundreds of millions of dollars of shortfall. Governor Rendell in Pennsylvania has indicated that it could result in the immediate termination of about 20,000 employees. So this is a very serious thing being debated right now. If you have any influence with our senator or with, well, the House has already passed it, so the House has agreed. But this is very serious stuff, and it's serious for healthcare providers, for our hospitals, and the like. Now, going forward, I'm going to continue to ask for federal help, but I believe that the next budget is going to require even further reductions. I've already reduced the state workforce by 5,000 people, something that my Republican critics always talk about and never do. I have reduced state employment by 7.8% of our total state workforce. And, but, you know, when you're the governor, you've got a constitutional obligation to balance the budget. And when resources are diminished and when the need increases, it forces you to make tough decisions. I have made tough decisions in putting together the current budget. I will make tough decisions putting together the next budget if I remain in this office. The best predictor, my friend, of future behavior is past behavior. So I invite people to look at how I've managed the affairs of this state during the most difficult economic times in many decades, and to judge my performance on that. And I will do whatever I must do to meet my constitutional obligation while trying to prioritize the use of our resources so that we continue to meet the essential functions of our state even as we make difficult choices. I'll try to make my next answer shorter.
Governor, sir, first of all, I commend you, but I have a question as it relates to the public transit system throughout Ohio is facing tremendous challenge. And based on the number of people who are out of work, who are now forced to depend on that, is there any consideration at the nation's capital on how funding or ideas on how to improve those type of systems?
Well, my friend, you do bring up a very troubling issue because public transit systems are struggling as the current system was struggling some months ago, and we were able to find a way to bring some additional resources at that time. I realize that the problem is reoccurring and will continue to occur going forward. I'm open to sitting down with the leadership of the transit systems, talking about what, if anything, we can do at the state level. And I know there are those at the federal level who are hugely aware of the circumstances that you described. Most of the people who use public transit, I believe, do so for employment rather than for casual or leisure activities. And that makes it even more critical that these services remain in place, because if people do not have access to transportation to get to their job, that just compounds the problem. And quite frankly, and I know the mayor is aware of this because we've talked about it in the past, many of the jobs no longer exist where the people who are most likely to be without personal transportation live. And if they don't have the capacity to use the public system to get to and from their work sites, it puts an intolerable burden upon them. So you bring up a very legitimate issue, and it's one that I'm willing to work with all parties to try to address, not only the current crisis, but developing a more sustainable system going forward.
Good afternoon, Ted. How are you?
I am fine. How are you?
Okay, it's always good to see you. How can we use immigration to better position Cleveland and Ohio in a global economy?
Well, thank you for bringing that up. I have come to believe what many have said, that Ohio's prosperity depends significantly upon our population. And we should be a welcoming state because if we look at the demographic changes and the population shifts occurring in America, the growth is occurring in the South and in the Southwest. That's why Ohio is likely to lose 2 congressional districts after the next census. It may be only 1, but it's likely that we'll lose 2. And that's because our population, though growing, is growing ever so slightly compared to other regions of the country. And one of the ways to compensate for that is to make Ohio a welcoming state so that people would choose to come here, whether they are immigrants or just people living elsewhere in the country. And there are ways that we can do that. And some of those are tangible things that we can do in terms of setting up processes and procedures that will assist those coming into our cities and into our state. And another part of it is just simply attitude, whether or not we do welcome people and convey a sense of inclusion and tolerance and brotherhood. And so we can do more there, and Ohio has, and I think is even now benefiting from immigrants. Many of the major things that have happened in our state historically have happened as a result of the rich contributions of those who have chosen to come here and to live here. And I would hope that Ohio would come to be viewed as a place where people would be welcomed and where opportunity would be made available to them and where they would be included in the larger economy of our state. Thank you. Thank you.
Today at this special City Club Forum, we have been listening to Governor Ted Strickland and a 2010 discussion on Northeast Ohio's economy. Thank you, Governor Strickland. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This forum is now adjourned.
For information on upcoming speakers or for podcasts of the City Club, go to cityclub.org.